Hey, I'm Kat, and I've been traveling in my self-built camper van full-time for about 1.5 years now, and about 3 years part-time before that as well. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about whether or not you need a toilet in your camper van and my experiences traveling all over the UK, Europe and Morocco as well. So let's go. So I started traveling in my little DIY VW Caddy and then later in my boyfriend's Vauxhall Bavaro. We traveled a lot of the UK, mainly in Scotland, and we never had a toilet in either of those vans. It worked for us on short trips, but we spent a lot of time planning in public toilets into our route and staying in wild places where we could go outside. And this did work for us just going away for the odd weekend and maybe up to a week at a time, but after a while we found that all the extra planning became pretty tedious. When we began planning longer trips, it became inevitable that we'd park in the odd car park or on the side of the street between all the beautiful wild destinations. You know, places that you can't just nip out for a wee in a bush or go into the woods with a trowel. And now that we have a compost toilet, it's pretty weird to think back to how we managed without it. Fly's decided that she wants to join in. So when I decided to plan a bigger van, I just knew that I had to have a compost toilet, and that is where Tribolo came in. So we have actually tried a couple of different compost toilets from Tribolo, starting with the Löwe Bloom, which was so comfy, and I had actually factored it into my van build so that we could use it in a few different ways, but I did find it a little too heavy for the van, and if I hadn't freshly swept, which was pretty often, it did scratch the floor while being pulled out. So now we have the Wundergo, which is so lightweight and so compact, so getting it in and out is a breeze, and we can even fit more in our already chaotic garage. It also has a spill-proof lid, which is something I never thought about before, but with other toilet designs, if your pee container gets full and you forget to put your lid on before driving, pee is probably going to go everywhere. But if you put your lid on to drive and then forget to take it off before you pee, again, pee is probably going to go everywhere. So the spill-proof lid is kind of a game changer amongst other compost toilet designs. If you want to hear more about the pros and cons of getting a compost toilet over a chemical toilet or any other option, then do check out my previous video that I made for Tribolo going into way more detail about this. But just to give you a bit of an insight on what we did before we had our compost toilet and our experiences of traveling with one since all over the UK, Ireland, Europe and Morocco, here's a few examples. So in the UK, we have service stations and a number of public toilets, which are usually free to use, but can be pretty few and far between. There's also less and less wild places to park in the UK, especially in the national parks, with more and more no parking signs going up year on year. Scotland is still pretty relaxed and does have some right to roam laws, but most of the rest of the UK is becoming really challenging to spend more than a couple of days while camping without any form of toilet. I will say in Ireland, they have a great website for finding public toilets called p.ie. It's way better than Google Maps, but even with that, we fell so in love with all the incredible wild spots overlooking the ocean that we never wanted to leave just to go to the bathroom. So having a compost toilet meant we could make the most of these spots for a few days at a time. Through France, there are many airs, which are a bit more like service stations in the UK, but without the fuel, so a little more like picnic sites with free toilets, and often waste of water too, and far more common than service stations in the UK. But sometimes the ones with toilets are on toll roads, so we've been caught out by that a couple of times and been really glad to have our compost toilet. In much of the rest of our travels around Europe, so in Spain, Portugal, Italy, Germany, Slovenia, to name a few, we found it to be somewhere in between. We also felt ill in Spain and got norovirus, which was horrible, and I'm not sure what we would have done without a toilet. I actually dread to think what would have happened if we hadn't have had our toilet. In Morocco, public toilets were much harder to find and you usually needed some change to use them. But again, the wild and diverse landscapes in Morocco had us fall in love with the country, and having a toilet gave us so much more flexibility to make the most of these incredible wild places. So it's actually pretty funny because when we first got a compost toilet, we were adamant we were only going to use it for emergencies and that we were still going to try and factor in finding public toilets and going in the wild, but now we use it pretty much every day. So our general routine is that when one of us needs to go, the other one will go for a walk or hop in the cab, and then we'll swap around or whatever. It's just so easy to get out, it's so easy and convenient to use, and it doesn't smell at all, so it just made no sense to not be using it. We also love meeting other people on the road, and so when you're convoying, you don't really want to have to break from the group just to go and find somewhere to go to the bathroom. The whole beauty of this lifestyle and traveling this way is the freedom and the flexibility and the spontaneity. And so to me now, not having a toilet is madness. So I think that is about all the experience and wisdom I have to share with you on this topic, from having a van for 5 years and traveling in this one for the last year and a half. So if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I highly recommend Tribolo. I really do. Check out the rest of their videos on YouTube, or you can also have a little look on their website or find them over on Instagram at tribolo.official. I've also made some videos for them over on Instagram, just breaking down more van life topics like how to wash on the road, where to find park-ups, how to find park-ups, and even laundry. So do go check those out. That's at tribolo.official or my personal page at Van Vistas. And I'll see you there. Bye.